Happy days. Hope everyone is doing. Definitely a sunny day outside, looking beautiful. I was checking out the streams, browsing the live streams. After a while, it starts to show you the same ones that are streaming first that you liked before. So it's like the algorithm on YouTube is pretty strong, I guess, about showing you content that you like or whatever. Interact with. I had chiggers in my pants. I don't know, some kind of bugs. You know those little bugs? They leave bug bites. It might be fleas. It might not, but you get one of those bug bites and like I got one on my leg and like you squeeze it. Chiggers. They call them chiggers because they're so tiny you can't see them. Red bugs. Because I heard people calling them red bugs, They're called red bugs. Yeah, man. Hey, y'all don't want to get old too fast? Don't worry. Don't worry. Try to protect your skin. Try not to get any skin damage from smoking or too much sunlight. There's these doctors promoting NAC, NAC, and glycetylene or something. NAC stands for something, but apparently they. And there's another guy talking about some zombie cells, and there's another guy talking about the telomeres. Because our telomeres strengthen. I think I just made that up. Lengthen. Our telomeres get smaller and smaller over time, which shortens our lifespan, but it's to prevent us from getting cancer, is what I heard. But, that C16 or something from that biologist guy creating some kind of drug, C16 or something like that. Some kind of drugs to live longer, but those other guys promoting the NAC, I don't know. But definitely try not to worry too much, because I seen a video the other day. It's talking about worry, the constant stress, the cortisol, too much adrenaline rush. But the constant stress and worry ruins it's stressful on the body. So if it's stressful on your mind, it'll be stressful on the body. I guess after a while I kind of started thinking of like I kind of started looking at my body like it's a factory. You gotta look at your body like a factory. If there's an alarm going off in your head, it might be because of your factory. And if there's something wrong with your factory, there might be an alarm going off in your head. So it's like, you, you know, they already know what to do, but I guess I like to play around and tell them, you know, fix this or fix that. Like I was telling them to fix my shoulder. You have to tell your body what to do. Just, I mean, you don't have to, but I like to tell my body what to do. I mean, it might sound crazy to somebody that never heard about it or thought about it, but I just, have a fake gold necklace on that's been sprayed with gold. But this is a real crystal though. This ain't no plastic. Let me tell you. Yeah, it definitely tastes like rock. Alright, the bugs. Let me tell you, the bugs. The bugs are out. The bugs. Yeah, try not to get like free radicals in your mind, like free radicals in your head. Don't do that. Like that iron, like the iron, like too much iron, like those like iron plates and stuff, like the iron, cast iron. Try not to cook too much on those because it's like too much iron will get in the is what's causing those free radicals. It causes like your burnt food. Try not to like burn your food because the free radicals will get in your mind. That's what causes like the dementia and like the I don't know about Alzheimer's, but you know, like I was thinking about lemon water yesterday. Like lemon water will probably get in the mind. Like I was watching the thing on CNN yesterday, and they was talking about dementia, and it was a plaque in the brain, and I really wanted them to talk more about food, but they didn't talk a lot about food. You just heard one question in the seminar, you know, where the people get together and was like, is fried food bad? Should we take fried food off? And the lady doing the seminar was like, yes. But, so like if you cook on something, cook on stainless steel. Cook on stainless steel. Try not to use the plated stuff, like the non-stick plated stuff. I mean, I told my dad about it, but he still use it. But you know, like stainless steel. You cook on stainless steel. It's if you like try to like if it don't have water or like a little bit of oil, like you could use olive oil. Just try not to cook at a high temperature. You cook like under 300. They say under 300 degrees because after 300 degrees it gets like toxic. I don't know if that's true, but okay, so first I heard the burn pieces are toxic. Now I done heard if it's over 300 degrees, the sugar combines in the meat with the fat and it gets toxic. So he was saying cook under 300 degrees. But yeah. So I was thinking like lemon Lemon could help clean the plaque out of the brain. Maybe apple cider vinegar. Maybe vinegar could help clean the plaque out of the brain. I don't know how the plaque gets in the brain. Like, I was wondering, that's a good question. Like, why is plaque in the brain? And if the doctors was talking about it, maybe they don't know. But, so I was wondering, is meat bad? Is it the protein in meat? I don't think so. But I don't know. So that's a good question. I do not know. Never stop asking questions. Never stop looking for answers. Because, like, with arthritis, with like people's knees hurting and their fingers hurting, it could be a vitamin deficiency, like you're not going out into the sun and getting enough sunlight. But it's also like, I heard it's a buildup of protein. So it's like a buildup of protein on your joints, like on your knees. It's like a buildup of protein. So that's why the people that recommend vinegar, like apple cider vinegar, so it can go in those joints and kind of, kind of break up, erode the protein. So, like, there was a woman that cut out that she stopped eating white potatoes. She stopped eating white potatoes because the high starch was giving her arthritis, inflammation. You have to stop the inflammation if you want to try to live without a lot of pain like arthritis. So I'm assuming if you got a headache, that's kind of like the same thing. There might be like inflammation. So, you know, make some cucumber water with some celery and a pear or whatever and some lemons. And exercise, that's good. seen this guy. He was streaming from Europe. Looked like he was in like Britain or somewhere like that. And he went in his backyard and he had this little chicken house. It was like a perfect made little chicken house, but it was a small one. It was like 3 foot, 4 foot wide, and he had a small backyard. You could see like other, like, I guess townhouses. I guess they call them townhouses, but like in Europe, you know how they have like 2-story townhouses, and it's like for one family or one, you know, small group of people. And I was thinking about the Mini Cooper. Because Mini Coopers are so small. But Scotty Kilmer says the new Mini Coopers are basically like BMW parts. So they're expensive to repair. You know when your homie wants you to play games and you don't have the game anymore, and then you'd have to re-download it and just... Homie said, "What's up?" I know he probably wants me to play a game with him, but I'd have to re-download Crossout. I really don't feel like playing Crossout no more. I played Blacklight for a little while and I don't feel like playing it either, because it's like... it's an old game, you know. It's like the person with the best internet wins because of the lag. I don't know. Damn, boy. That shit grow fast. The Jack Morgan episode yesterday was really good. I didn't watch the beginning of it though. I kind of came in like probably halfway or 1/3 of the way. Dude's living in his parents' old house, but his parents, one of them got dementia, and like it's a really nice neighborhood, and I think he's gonna move because um, he don't like how much it costs to live there, and so he had one of his subscribers call in, and one of his subscribers was like, like out of town and had his own homestead and worked for a big company and was like wanting to show him how they live. Like they got cows and they get tax, I want to say tax credits or tax cuts, or they have to pay less taxes because they have cows. That's what he said. So I'm guessing that you know the government wants you to well, the government allows you to have cows, like will incentivize will encourage you to sell your cows and make more money to get more, have more babies, maybe have more cattle. I mean, that's a good life, that's the traditional way. That's the traditional way. It came from Europe, really, all these cow breeds. The American bison was wild, but who knows? Maybe they had some that was cool. I mean, some cows are not cool, so it just depends on the animal, depends on the breed, but cows are cool. Y'all seen that y'all seen that family that was charging for like cuddles with a cow? You could hug a cow for like $20 an hour or something, and they was making a lot of money. I don't know what kind of cow it was. It looked brown. It looked more reddish brown, like a red brown, and it had like some long hair, I think, on his head. Yeah. But that's what I wanted to do, That's what I wanted to do is buy some cows at an auction, but you have to have land. You can't just put a cow on like half an acre, I mean, you could, but it's just like you're only ever gonna have one. You're only ever gonna have enough room for one, so unless you get like at least 5 acres to play around with, which is 5 football fields, then you can have more than one cow. There's a lot of room. That's why there's so much controversy with the cattle farming and like what's happening to the Amazon jungle. They say the Amazon jungle has been deforested just for cows. I don't know if that's true, but I heard it takes, like so much water and so much food for a cow when the same piece of meat, like a steak, you can get the protein from like beans. I don't really know. Like I heard like cows, like meat is really good for you. Like the beef liver has B vitamins in it, like B12. Grass-fed beef, like cows that eat grass. But so I'm assuming that if you're getting if you want to try to get the same kind of protein that's easier on the kidneys instead of eating meat and you just eat beans and stuff, the beans would have to be, they would have to be like, I don't know, like not have any chemicals in them, from the way they grow stuff. Damn, they give me a daily mix 1, daily mix 2, daily mix 3, mix 4, 5, 6, 7. Spotify recommends so much stuff like motivation, confidence boost. So many white girls. It's the chick from the Barbie movie. I just need a beautiful white girlfriend. I just need a beautiful white girlfriend that's humble, you know? Man, these pimples, dude. Chat with traders. See, there's even podcasts about trading. Basically, like everything that you find on YouTube where there's good talks, there's probably good talks like that on Spotify. I just haven't really started trying to listen to podcasts and stuff on Spotify until yesterday. See, there's an audio book from Robert Greene. I subscribe to Robert Greene on YouTube. He's a good guy. Damn. Rob Zombie's hair. His beard and his hair is so long. I can't do it. I tried having long hair. I can't do it. Like, it's irritating. So, like, I would have to have it in, like, a ponytail or something, you know? It's just like, Damn, Taylor Swift has 110 million. 110 million. The Book of Enoch? What the fuck? It's got the Book of Enoch. Uh, I don't know, man. Y'all ever tried listening to the Book of Enoch? I did one time on YouTube, and it started saying some weird stuff like an angel was teaching humanity how to do makeup. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you don't think people learn that on their own, or you really think, I don't know, maybe, it's some, like another angel was teaching how to make blacksmithing, like with swords, metallurgy. But they say like translations get lost in time. So like you could have a history that's just word of mouth, and it might change like over time. So there might be some form of truth to it, and it might just be different than what it sounds like today because translations get lost in time. So they might be talking about something and it might mean something else. So you can't just like completely discredit it. You just gotta, like they say, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, you just like the emerald tablets. The stuff must be popular because like I haven't searched podcasts and it's recommending me podcasts. All right, play the Book of Enoch. Should I just skip to like a middle chapter and just play it like I did yesterday? Alright. Oh, it's one that I can pay money for. Okay, so that one costs money. I don't know, like I heard the Emerald Tablets was just like a book of spells. The Book of Enoch, I'm not sure about it. Like I was only listening to like the beginning of it, so I really didn't get to maybe the good parts. So it's kind of hard talking about something that you're ignorant in. I probably sound real ignorant, but this other one is costing money as well. It's okay to talk ignorant sometimes, you're just expressing yourself. We find our path. Don't be afraid to express yourself and look stupid sometimes. I mean, you're not doing it on purpose, but it happens. finish off with the Alan Watts from yesterday. I was almost finished with it. Well, it was just one chapter. I don't know. Imagine that city life.
A symbol or image of oneself, plus a sensation of muscular strain occasioned by trying to make this symbol an effective agent to control emotion, to concentrate, to direct the nervous operations of the organism. Then immediately it is clear that what we have called ourselves, what we have thought of as ourselves, isn't able to do anything at all. There follows this kind of silence, in which there is nothing to do except watch what happens. But what is happening is watching itself. There is nobody apart from it watching it. And so we get into the state of meditation, or as I prefer to call it, contemplation. So then the next problem that arises is, well, what about all the other illusions? Although they are somehow integrated and centered upon the illusion of ego, nevertheless, the whole value system of what is important, what is not important, what is good, what is bad, what is pleasant, what is painful, has to be called in question. Now then, we get to this. As I explained yesterday afternoon, what we are aware of is a complex of vibrations. And we have been conditioned to call them graduatedly good, bad, pleasant, painful. Whereas, as a matter of fact, they are nothing but vibrations. And if you look at any one of them by itself, you won't know where it is. That is to say, if you only know red, you can't see that it's red. You can only know that this is red by contrast with yellow and green and blue and violet. So you don't know that the sound is loud unless you know soft sounds. Or you don't know that it's soft unless you know loud. And it is that comparison which gives us the feeling of the spectrum as being varied. Otherwise we wouldn't know. For example, when you watch television, you are actually seeing a single moving point moving over the screen. But it goes so fast that you see it in all these different places having different values of light. But let us supposing there was someone whose retina was not retentive in this way. He would look at the screen and see the moving point of light and say to human beings, I don't see what you see in this. Now, can we, therefore, get back not only to the situation where we see that the ego is a mere construct, but also where we see that all the values we put on the vibrations are arbitrary, and that we get to a position where we see the vibrations simply as the vibrations. And we would say then, well, surely all this is nonsense, which is correct. The universe, is a kind of ba-doo-dee-da, 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 going on in this fantastic way. This is why music can be used as a meditative technique.
Trance.
Because a lot of music is nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. But it can be very interesting. So can you get back again to recollecting from childhood your pleasure in events that from your present point of view you would call entirely meaningless? That you could listen to a sound like twanging metal and it goes boing, 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 and that's fascinating. Boing. It's just boing. And that's all it is. See? Now if you can really get with boing, you can see the whole universe in boing. Really. Because every vibration that's possible implies all the others. And so, likewise, with a candle flame, with a reflection, with grain in wood, anything can, from this child point of view, be completely fascinating. Not because it means anything, but just for what it is that it is shaped so. Because obviously that gives a taste, a quality to a vibration that is extremely interesting. And it's only if you look very carefully at a vibration that you can see this point. That's why meditative exercises often involve a repetition process. Om, or saying a phrase, or doing an act like a mudra, over and over and over again. After a while, it becomes meaningless. You could say your own name like the Sufis do, and go on and on and on and on and on, and finally, it doesn't mean anything at all. It's just a noise. But it isn't just a noise, you see. The attitude of saying that something is just a noise or just a wiggle is an adult attitude. No wiggle to the child is just a wiggle. To the child, the elemental thing going on is blah. You know, I mean, it's just fantastic. Now, do you see why this is what mystics call ineffable? That is to say, you can't really talk about it. When I try to explain what I mean by digging a sound, I suddenly realize that I'm not really saying anything. And yet there are states of consciousness in which you can listen to sound and realize that that is the whole point of being alive. Just to go with this particular energy manifestation that is happening right at this moment. To be it. The whole world is the energy playing and doing all this. You see, like a kaleidoscope, jazzing. So if you watch that, and watch it that way, you will be accused, of course, by those who are guardians of the game of doing something very dangerous. You're going completely crazy. The number of theological texts I've read which express in one way or another this horror of everything becoming meaningless. The meaningless life. Tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Those people, you see, have not dared to look at it. Now, there's another way of looking at it, of course, where in states of acute depression, people see it all as meaningless, but not really meaningless. They see it all as a conspiracy of horror. Let's imagine that everything is mechanical. There are no living beings at all. There are a lot of beings that are such good computers that you can't tell the difference between them and what you thought were people. But everything going on is simply clockwork. And there's nobody home, although it puts on a convincing show that there is. So you get the feeling that the entire world is enameled tin, or patent leather, or plastic, and tasteless, hollow, like a Wurlitzer jukebox. That's a very common feeling of people who get into acute depression. But you see, there is still here evaluation. You are associating the world with the mechanical as distinct from the organic. And we have a tendency, you see, to put down the mechanical because obviously a plastic flower doesn't have the scent, it doesn't have the soft feeling of a living flower. There will perfume plastic flowers, but you know what it'll do. It'll smell vaguely like soap, and it won't smell like a flower. So it'll be plastic smell. Now we know that, you see, and so we contrast it with the organic. But in what we're doing now, we are getting to a feel of the world that is neither organic nor mechanical. Simply what it is. We don't know the contrast, just as we don't know the contrast voluntary, involuntary, we don't know the contrast organic, mechanical. Neither.
You've been listening to Alan Watts in a recording on Inevitable Ecstasy. The tape was made in 1969 aboard the ferry boat Vallejo, tied up at the north end of Sausalito near San Francisco, and was one of a number of seminars that he recorded that year. This one toward the end of the year in November. You can find this recording and many others that he made in the 60s and early 70s at the Alan Watts Organization website, which also gives an overview of his written works and life story. I'm Mark Watts. Thank you for listening. And thank you for our sponsor at Eaton Hemp and the help of the Ram Dass Be Here Now podcast network. Eaton makes a line of farm-to-table hemp products from their organic facility in upstate New York. And they've been sending us goodies, peanut butter crunchies and other things. And I highly recommend their oils and other products as well.
Oh, he's talking about hemp.
The Love, Serve, Remember Foundation, built on a simple teaching: love everyone, serve everyone, praise God. Your gift ensures that the wisdom of Ram Dass is accessible to all, regardless of their background or means. From virtual courses to podcasts, from retreats to connecting with millions online, your gift feeds the hunger for heart connection and community. Today, we enjoy and purpose to lives worldwide. Join us in continuing Ram Dass's legacy of love. Let's make an incredible impact together. For more, visit ramdass.org/give.
Welcome to Being in the Way, the Alan Watts podcast, and I'm your host, Mark Watts. And today we've got some special treats.
What
We've
the
got,
fuck?
talks from the Veil
He's
of
a
Thoughts
what?
about symbolism, about money, and the mistaking of symbols for reality. We're going to start off with that, and preceding that with a little clip about what do you desire. And then in the same seminar from the ferryboat Vallejo in the late 60s, my father launched into a unique talk
That's his
called Divine
dad?
Madness about love
Holy
and marriage.
shit.
So appropriate for this upcoming season, and a very interesting and pragmatic talk on love, relationships, falling in love, and how marriages can contain the possibility of falling in love. So it's Alan Watts in Veil of Thoughts with a little preview on what do you desire, and then into the main Veil of Thoughts on symbolism and money, and then on to Divine Madness.
The intention of desire for whatever it is that you want. But behind this is a deeper question altogether, which is, what do you desire? How would you really enjoy spending your life? What would you like? Let's suppose, I do this often in vocational guidance of students. They come to me and say, well, we're getting out of college and we haven't the faintest idea what we want to do. So I always ask the question, what would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life? Well, it's so amazing. As a result of our kind of educational system, crowds of students say, well, we'd like to be painters, we'd like to be poets, we'd like to be writers, but as everybody knows, you can't earn any money. Or another person says, well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride horses. I say, do you want to teach in a riding school? Let's go through with it. What do you want to do? When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that. And forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. And after all, if you do really like what you're doing, it doesn't matter what it is, you can eventually you can eventually become a master of it. It's the only way to become a master of something, to be really with it. And then you'll be able to get a good fee for whatever it is. So don't worry too much. Somebody's interested in everything. And anything you can be interested in, you'll find others who are. But it's absolutely stupid to spend your time doing things you don't like in order to go on doing things you don't like and to teach your children to follow in the same track. See, what we're doing is we're bringing up children and educating them to live the same sort of lives we're living, in order that they may justify themselves and find satisfaction in life by bringing up their children, to bring up their children to do the same thing, so it never gets there. And so there seems to be a fundamental futility. Therefore, it's so important to consider this question: what do I desire? Well, now, in the first talk, I was explaining that the theme of this seminar was the problem of how thoughts protect us from truth and what to do about it. Showing various ways in which the symbolizing process, which we call thinking, the use of signs, words, symbols, numbers to represent what's going on in the external world or the world of nature, it leads us into a curious confusion that we confuse the symbolic process with the actual world. And the temptation to do this arises from the extraordinary relative success that we have had in controlling the world of nature with the power of thought. But I don't know if it's ever struck you that we really don't know whether we have successfully controlled it or not. It could be argued, a very strong case could be made, that the entire intellectual venture of civilization has been a ghastly mistake, and that we are now on a collision course, and that all the vaunted benefits of intelligence, technology, and all that is simply going to draw the human race to an extremely swift conclusion. Of course, that might not be a bad thing. I've sometimes speculated on the idea that all stars have been created out of planets, and that these planets developed high civilizations, which eventually understood the secrets of nuclear energy and naturally blew themselves up. And in the process, these stars flung out lumps of rock as they blew up, which eventually spun around them and became planets all over again. Now that this is the actual method of genesis of the universe, which would accord, of course, with the Hindu cosmology, where it is, where time and the events in time are invariably looked upon as a process of progressive deterioration through the cycles of each kalpa, in which things get worse and worse as time goes on, until it can't stand itself anymore, and it blows up, and after a period of rest and recuperation, begins all over again. Why do we somehow have a distaste for a theory of time which runs in that direction? I mean, would you rather have a rhythm that goes meow, meow, or the one that goes see, I mean, which is it? Or you want one that's going up always? You see, always getting better. You can't even imagine such a state of affairs, because you know it's relative. As you succeed in life, you simply well, there was a communist, a Russian philosopher who accused the communists in their various 5-year plans and progressive notions, wherein people were always preparing for tomorrow, of converting all human beings into caryatids. Now, you know, a caryatid is a pillar shaped in a human form which supports a roof. And he said, you are turning all men into caryatids to support a stage upon which others will dance. But of course, you know they never will. You have one row of caryatids supporting a floor, and very soon your children are the next row of caryatids supporting another floor, so that it gets higher and higher, but we don't really know where we began, and we're always in the same place. Always hoping, always thinking that the next time will be it. And this, of course, is an eternal illusion. It's much better. Actually, one will be much happier to think that the future is simply deteriorating. I can explain that very simply. Human beings are largely engaged in wasting enormous amounts of psychic energy in attempting to do things that are quite impossible. You know, as the proverb says, you can't lift yourself up by your own bootstraps. But recently, I've heard a lot of references in just general reading and listening, where people say, we've got to lift ourselves up by our own bootstraps. And you can't. And you can struggle and tug and pull till you're blue in the face, and nothing happens except that you've exhausted yourself. All sensible people, therefore, begin in life with two fundamental presuppositions. You are not going to improve the world, and you are not going to improve yourself. You are just what you are. And once you have accepted that situation, you have an enormous amount of energy available to do things that can be done. And everybody else looking at you from an external point of view will say, my God, how much so-and-so has improved. But I know, I mean, hundreds of my friends are at work on enterprises to improve themselves by one religion or another, one therapy or another, this system, that system, and I'm desperately trying to free people from this. And I suppose that makes me a messiah of some kind. But the thing is that you can't do it. One very simple reason, which I think most of you are by now familiar with, is that the part of you which is supposed to improve you is exactly the same as that part of you which needs to be improved. In other words, there isn't any real distinction between bad me and good I, between the higher self, which is spiritual, and the lower self, which is animal. It's all of a piece. You are this organism, this integrated, fascinating energy pattern. And as Archimedes said, give me a fulcrum and I will move the earth, but there isn't one. It's like, you know, betting on the future of the human race. If I were really smart, I would lay a bet that the human race will destroy itself, because in practical politics one realizes that nothing is going to work out right. No candidate I've ever voted for ever won the election. So, but the trouble is there's nowhere to place the bet. And so, since I can't place the bet anywhere, I'm involved in the world and must perforce try to see that it doesn't blow itself to pieces. But the thing, I once had a terrible argument with Margaret Mead. She was holding forth one evening on the absolute horror of the atomic bomb, and how everybody should immediately spring into action and abolish it. But she was getting so furious about it that I said to her, you know, you scare me, because I think you're the kind of person who will push the button in order to get rid of the other people who were going to push it first. And she told me that I had no love for my future generations, no responsibility for my children, that I was a phony Swami who believed in retreating from facts. But I maintained my position. Robert Oppenheimer, a little while before he died, said that it's perfectly obvious that the whole world is going to hell. The only possible chance that it might not is that we do not attempt to prevent it from doing so. Because you see, all the troubles going on in the world now are being supervised by people with very good intentions. Their attempts to keep things in order, to clean things up, to forbid this and prevent that possible horrendous damage. And the more we try, you see, to put everything to rights, the more we make fantastic messes. And it gets worse. And maybe that's the way it's got to be. Maybe I shouldn't say anything at all about the folly of trying to put things to right. But simply on the principle of Blake, let the fool persist in his folly so that he will become wise.
Would this be an argument against conservationists?
This is an argument against all kinds of do-gooding. In other words, it's simply, what I'm saying is, don't take me too seriously. I'm pitching a case for the fact that the civilization has been a mistake.
Well, there's
it
just
would
like
be much better to leave everything alone.
there's just like different ways we could go about it, but I mean,
The wild animals are wiser than we, in that they, putting it in our crude and not very exact language, they just follow their instincts. And if a moth mistakes a flame for the signal on which it gets a mating call and flies into the flame, so what? That just keeps the moth population down. And the moth doesn't worry. You know, it doesn't go buzzing around in a state of anxiety, wondering whether this sex call is the real thing or just a flame. It doesn't think consciously about the future. At least we suppose this is so. Maybe it does, but we suppose that it doesn't. And therefore, it isn't troubled. And so far as we know, it's been around for an incredibly long time, and maybe even longer than we have. Bees, ants, creatures of this kind, they have long since escaped from history, so far as we can see. In other words, they live a settled existence, which you might consider rather boring, because it doesn't have constant change in the way that we do. They live the same rhythm again and again and again and again, but because they don't bother to remember it consciously, it never gets boring. And because they don't bother to predict, they're never in a state of anxiety. And yet they survive. Now we, who look before and after, as Emerson says, and predict, and are always concerned whether this generation is going to be better or worse than the one that came before, we are tormented. And we just don't realize, because of this tremendous preoccupation with time, we don't realize how beautiful we are.
right.
In spite of ourselves. Because you see, the conscious radar is a troubleshooter. It's always on the watch out for variations in the environment which may bring about disaster. And so consciousness is from one day's end to another entirely preoccupied with time and with planning and with what has been and with what will be. And since troubleshooting is its function, we then get the general feeling that man is born to trouble. And we ignore in this preoccupation with conscious attention how marvelously we get on. How, for most of the time, our physical organs are in a fantastically harmonious relationship. How our body relates by all sorts of unconscious responses to the physical environment. So that if you became aware of all the adjustment processes that are being managed spontaneously and subconsciously by your organism, you would find yourself in the middle of great music. And of course this occasionally happens. Well, the mystical experience is nothing other than becoming aware of your true physical relationship to the universe. And you're amazed, thunderstruck by the feeling that underneath everything that goes on in this world, the fundamental thing is a state of unbelievable bliss. Well, why not? Why else would there be anything happening? Because if the game isn't worth the candle, if the universe is basically nothing but a tormented struggle, why have one? Hasn't it ever struck you that it would be much simpler not to have any existence? It would require no effort. There would be no problems. So why is there anything going on? Let me say, not why, but how is there anything going on? Because if it's all fundamentally a drag, I just don't see any reason for its being. Everything would have committed suicide long ago, and to be at rest. Abu bin Adhem, may his tribe decrease by cautious birth control and be at peace. So, we might work on this possibility, then, that civilization is a mistake, and that we've taken completely the wrong track, and should have left things to nature, as it were. And of course, this is the same problem that is brought up in the book of Genesis. Actually, the fall of man in Genesis is his venture into technology. Because in the Bible, the Hebrew words for the knowledge of good and evil are connected with techniques. What is technically expeditious and what is not. Words connected with actually metallurgy. And to be as God, you see, when you eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge and you become as God, means you think you're going to control your own life. And God says, okay, baby, you wanted to be God, you try it. But the trouble with you is you've got a one-track mind. And therefore you can't be God. To be God, you have to have a infinitely many-tracked mind, which is, of course, what your brain has, you see. The brain is infinitely many-tracked, but consciousness is not, it's one-tracked. As we say, you can only think of one thing at a time. And you cannot take charge of the universe with that kind of a consciousness, because there's too much of it. As I explained before, too many variables. And our science can take care of a few variables, or of an enormous number of variables, as in quantum mechanics, by statistical methods. As we can use statistical methods to predict that most people will live to be 65 years old, at least, but we cannot say of any given individual whether he will live to 65 or not. That's what we wanted to know. But the problem is that the variables on each individual are too complicated. And we have not yet, you see, developed a science which can deal with, say, 50, 100, or 500 variable systems. It's too complicated to think about. The computers are going to help us. But as yet, we're either on the low number or the extremely high number. And these are outside the range of the problems with which we are really concerned. That's why, for example, a lot of people have taken to using the I Ching, the Book of Changes. Because if you're tossing a coin to make your decisions, and everybody does fundamentally make their decision by tossing coins, it's better to have a 64-sided coin than a two-sided coin. The I Ching gives you 64 possibilities of approach to any given decision instead of just two, yes or no. It's based on yes or no, because it's based on the yang and the yin. But in the same way that computers, digital computers, use a number system which consists only of the figures 0 and 1, out of which you can construct any number. And this was invented by Leibniz, who got it from the Book of Changes. It's amazing how this book is somehow always with us. But this then is a way of helping your own multivariable brain arrive at decisions, cooperating with your own mind. Because then again, after you've tossed your 64-sided coin, the oracle that you read that explains each particular hexagram in the Book of Changes is a sort of Rorschach blot. It is very laconic remarks into which everybody reads just exactly what they want to read. But that helps you make a decision by the fact that you don't really have to accept responsibility for it. See, then you can say, it told me. I consulted the oracle. Same way when you go to a guru. You say, my guru is very wise and he has instructed me to do this, that, and the other. But it was you who decided on this guru. How did you know he was a good one? See, you gave him his authority because you picked him out. It always comes back to you. But we like to pretend it doesn't. But the thing is that oneself is certainly not the stream of consciousness. Oneself is everything that goes on underneath that, and of which the stream of consciousness is a mere, well, it has about the same relation to oneself as the bookkeeping does to a business. And if you're selling grocery, there's very little resemblance between your books and what you move over your shelves and counters. There's just a record of it. And that's what our consciousness keeps. Now, supposing then we work with the argument that we've made an awful mistake in bringing out civilization. And we're not going to survive. Now, there are various things that can be said about this. Just as I made the joke that all stars used to be planets, one could say, well, is it such a good thing to survive? You know T.S. Eliot's Wasteland, where it says, this is the way the world ends, not with a bang but a whimper. But some people would rather end with a bang than a whimper. Some people are stingy, and they like to burn up their fire very gradually, conserving the fuel, and just keep enough heat going so that they get a long time. Other people prefer a kind of a potlatch situation, where they have a huge whiz-bang fire that goes out in a hurry. Now, who is right? Do you want to be a tortoise? You know, a tortoise that lives for hundreds of years, but drags itself around all the time, very slow song. Or would you rather be some little hummingbird? Yeah, hummingbird, that's the thing. See, that dances and lives at a terrific pace. See? Well, you can't say one is right and the other's wrong. And so there may be nothing wrong with the idea of a world, a civilization, a culture that lives at a terrific increasing pace of change and then explodes. That may be perfectly okay. My point is that if we could reconcile ourselves to the notion that that is perfectly okay, then we would be less inclined to push that button. It's the anxiety. If you cannot stand anxiety, and if you cannot simply be content for issues to be undecided, you are liable to push the button because you say, let's get it over with. People who have trouble with the law and are manipulating the courts in one way or another always learn to delay everything, put it off, introduce legal red tape, manage to, like Ralph Ginsburg, who's been in trouble because of the Eros magazine. He's got a very smart attorney who simply, although the case has gone to the Supreme Court, he's simply mumbling away and putting up all sorts of things so that he keeps Ralph out of jail. And that's life. Life is simply a way of postponing death. And that's what we have to do. So then, let's say, well, civilization wasn't really a mistake. It was just as natural as anything else.
Yes.
A being
It's natural.
that exists under conditions of illusion, that imagines that it's controlling its own destiny, that thinks it's capable of improving itself, and by virtue of this illusion, destroys itself rapidly in an interesting way. You see? Let's suppose that's what we are. But you still come back to the point that you are spending an enormous amount of energy in doing things that can't be done. That is to say, tugging at the bootstraps. And if you find this frustrating, if you really don't like it, you don't have to do it. You can stop. And the paradox is that when you stop, you become happier and more energetic. People always wondered about the Calvinists, because Calvinists believed that from the beginning of time, God had foreordained who was to be saved and who was to be damned. And you have no choice. Predestination. And therefore, the logical assumption would be that people who believed in predestination would be laissez-faire. They're just sit and wait. There's nothing we can do about it. But Calvinists were quite other than that. They were very energetic people, too energetic. Very vigorously moral. They gave us the Protestant ethic. But they believed in predestination. Because you see, they simply had all the psychic energy which Catholics were dissipating upon wondering whether they were saved or not. See? And being in a state of fear and trembling. About, have I made the right decision? Did I act rightly? And
That's
so
not
on.
good. That'll make you older faster.
So they didn't have as much energy as the Calvinists. So then in this day and age, we say in the line of thought of psychiatry or of most schools of psychotherapy, it's important for you to accept yourself rather than to be in conflict. Get with yourself. But everybody says but, because nobody dares take that too far.
Yeah, man, I love listening to Alan Watts. I haven't really listened to him that much, but you know, like every time I do, he makes a lot of sense, and he was definitely a cool dude. You know, like I heard he went to some other country and was just chilling there for a little while and learned a lot about their techniques and philosophies on life, and some Asian country or something, or like India. But I don't really know who Alan Watts was. I guess he was a popular philosopher or something.
There's always a little bit of reservation on the end of it. It's like I've never heard a preacher to this day give a sermon on the passage in the Sermon on the Mount, which begins,
Yeah, he's a preacher.
"Be not anxious for the morrow." They do occasionally refer to it and say, well, that's all very well for Jesus. But the actual putting into practice of this, nobody will agree with. They say it's not practical to not give a damn about how you're going to provide for the next day's meals and all that sort of thing. But it is practical. It's much more practical than what we're doing. If you mean by practical that it has survival value. Only, I want to point out that this is a kind of a two-step way. You see, the first step is not being anxious for the morrow. Not dreaming for one moment that you can change anything or improve anything. Which of you, by being anxious, can add 1 cubit to his stature? You see? But this, just like the belief in predestination, has an unexpected consequence. Namely, the making of the energy available. So that, in fact, you can take care of the morrow, but for the simple reason that you're no longer worrying about it. And thus it comes about that people who do not live for the morrow have some reason to make plans. But those who live for the morrow have no reason to make plans for anything, because they never catch up with tomorrow, because they don't live in the present. They live for a future which never arrives. And that is very stupid. But you see, all this is said in quite another spirit than the spirit of sermonizing. I'm not talking at all about something you should do. All I'm doing is explaining a situation, and you can do anything you like about it. Actually, you know, you cannot lift yourself up by your own bootstraps, however hard you try. And I'm merely pointing out that it can't be done. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try, because it may be...
Well, that's why there's like civilization, though. I don't know if he's making the point about like helping yourself or that we need help, but the point about like that's how civilization came about, because we help each other.
Your lifestyle, to be constantly attempting to do things that can't be done. I do this in a way because all poets do it. The poet is always trying to describe what cannot be said. And he gets close, you know? He often really gives the illusion that he's made it. And that's a great thing, to be able to say what can't be said. I'm trying to say, to express the mystical experience. And it just can't be done. And therefore, everything I'm saying to you is a very elaborate deception. I'm weaving all kinds of intricate nonsense patterns, which sound as if they were about to make sense. and they don't really. But you see, we can take that to another level and say, well, that's just life. Once I was talking with Fritz Perls at the Esalen Institute. And he said, the trouble with you is your own words. Why don't you practice what you preach? So I said, I don't preach. And furthermore, don't put words down. Because the patterns that people make with words are just like the patterns of ferns or of the marks on seashells. They are a dance, and they're just as much a legitimate form of life as flowers. He said, you're impossible. But you see, that's very important, and that is why in certain forms of methods of meditation and religious rituals, we use words in a way that is not ordinarily in accord with the use of words. Words are normally used to convey information. But in religious rituals, words are not used to convey information. Words are used musically for the sake of sound. And this is a method of liberating oneself from enthrallment with words. When you say any ordinary word, just take a word like body, see? And you say it once, and it seems to be quite sensible. But say it 4 or 5 times. Body, 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 body. And you think, what a funny noise. Isn't that curious? Or apple dump.
That Alan Watts, yeah. Chris Liebing, that's a new name, so this is like a new remix, but isn't it like an old remixes of old songs from like the 90s, ain't this? T99 is from the 90s, right? Oh, now it shows up again? How come it didn't show up last time? What the fuck? That's the song I have saved, and they did a remix of that song. Hey. That's trippy, dude. What the fuck? Damn, I want to go get blue contacts again. They all remixed Anastasia, because that's how big of it. Because that's how big of a hit it was back in the day. Like that's how popular, I guess Anastasia was. I think it was from Europe. It's from the UK, I think. But you can see right here, like they did a remix. It recommended me this because I like that song from T99, and I guess this is a new release. I don't know, but they're all Anastasia remixes, and that's. I'm listening to the one from Chris Liebing right now. See, so. Oh, it's by T99? So maybe they're like still going. Yeah, but I like it. I can dig it. Y'all recommend any colognes? I really don't like buying the $100 bottles. I like buying these little travel size. This is like a $35 bottle or a $30 bottle. I like these the most. I've never liked the idea of buying a giant one that's like this big and like chunky, you know, like a lot of ounces. How much ounce is this? This is like, I don't know, but it's probably like an ounce. I don't know, I don't feel like looking at it. It probably don't say, but alright, so all the colognes I've ever had, I've had some good colognes. The ones that I've bought has been from the mall, like the Dillard's, you know, is that in JCPenney? There's another one, JCPenney. No, I noticed that I would go to like JCPenney, but then I would have to walk over to Dillard's, and then I don't remember like last time if I was in JCPenney or not, but you know, when you go shopping, when you're in the mall, like you look around at different colognes, and for women it's probably the same with perfumes, but yeah, man, didn't they sell some cologne at... I bought one from Victoria's Secret one time called Very Sexy. I bought Candies. My first cologne was Candies back in the day. I don't even remember buying, like, I barely, like, remember buying it, you know? Like, you don't... Okay. And then, so Candies was really good. I kind of want to get Candies again because it feels like that was like a lifetime ago. candies, like I had, okay, so when you get some colognes and you have like a girlfriend or something, like for y'all, like for women out there, if you have like a boyfriend, like get a perfume that makes you feel like a certain trip. Like it really feels, it's kind of hard to describe it, but I'm trying to say like it just feels like a romance novel or something. Like it has a certain taste, a certain feeling to it that's like different each time you switch colognes, perfumes, and it's like trippy. You gotta keep switching it. But and then what else? Hugo. I had Hugo. I liked Hugo for a little while. What else? So the Very Sexy, the Acqua di Gio. I had Acqua di Gio as a gift one time from my mom. Cause she said like my stepdad didn't like it. He was allergic to it or something. I don't know. But then he started using Creed or something. And so I had Acqua di Gio for a while. That was good. That feels like weird. It's weird when you think about it, but then it could be a good thing. Like you could have positive or negative feelings for your past cologne or perfume. Just depends on like your experiences. I don't know why it's like that, but they say like your memories, a lot of your memories, you'll remember certain smells, the way things smelled. But yeah, that's about it for them, because I think I had Polo one time. I think I was going to buy a bottle of Polo, or I had a bottle one time. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. My dad likes Chaps, like the country scents. Polo would fit in with that, I think. I got a country scent. No, it ain't no country scent. I don't know. I have one from Usher that I just like sprayed in the truck the other day. Sometimes I just like spray it on me for the heck of it, but yeah, so like Candies and Hugo, I bought those because of a commercial. Remember the Candies commercial? Y'all remember the Candies commercial, and then the Hugo commercial? There was a Hugo commercial. It was like from France, and it was like in black and white. Then they came out with Hugo Boss. I didn't buy one of those, but I probably should have. You know, I could probably go back and buy one. That's a good choice. But I didn't like it. Like I smelled it, and then I was like, no, I don't like that as much. But maybe now I would, you know. So, yeah. I like this sandalwood body wash that I got from Target. It smells really good. Like sandalwood, I would like to get like a sandalwood cologne I think that would be badass. Like, I don't really know the name of one, but I think I saw Jeremy Fragrance show one time, probably. You know, stuff like that. I think that dude made his own cologne. He says he has his own cologne. Like, I think it would be really cool to have your own cologne, you know. Like Usher did that. But, Jeremy Fragrance made his own cologne. Anastasia remixes. That's a cool recommendation. I really like this song. Ultra Sharp, it's a Ritz Lee remix, but it's an Arjun Vagali song. A mining stock. Man, I need to put some money in a mining stock. Yeah. Mining stock. I really need to get a new wallet. Look, I don't like this wallet, but I like this wallet. One's longer than the other one. See how much longer it is? That part? I don't know if that's a rat bite or not. Probably not. Because that one's all tore up right there too. Because I don't like this wallet. And I don't like that one either. I had a Billabong wallet one time. I really liked that one. It was kind of like this, but it had like designs on it. Because you gotta have stuff that you feel good about so you can do more stuff, you know? This shit's too tight. It's too fucking tight. It shrunk when they shrink wrapped it.
New on Hulu.
This is an escape. Every experience. This comes for your niece. I'm so excited to try it.
Dun 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 dun.
It's on TV? Yeah.
Stream on
Yeah, I definitely don't like that. Forgot about that. Anastasia remixes. Dude, that shit's too tight, so I'm not gonna use it. They sewed it too close right there. I guess. Oh well. It's real leather? Damn, this thing scrolls too slow. Nope. Rolling dice, just a gent. Ella Boss, Joey Chavez.
I still wear the smile you gave to me when we were just having fun in a daydream where we belong. Now I see you never needed, but we tried hard to take ourselves into thinking we could be helped. And you said, come on, just close your eyes. We'll test our fate like rolling dice. Oh, come on now, you'll feel alive. We'll test our fate like rolling dice.
Go to the trade. Trades versus college. Go to the trades. Need more tradesmen out there.
I still use the laugh you gave to me when we were just having fun in a daydream where we belong.
I ain't heard this song in a long time.
And now we've both met someone else, and we try hard to trick ourselves into thinking we can be helped. And you said, come on, just close your eyes. We'll test our fate like rolling dice. Oh, come We'll test our fate like rolling dice. Like rolling I keep this fire
Just a gent.
burning brighter as long as the sun shines. This is a goodbye. Come on, just close your eyes. We'll test our fate like rolling dice. Like rolling dice.
New.
Dude said, turn the music off. I can't hear myself think. I was like, that's the point. It don't sound that good, like, through someone else's audio, but a lot of songs, like, if they're good, they'll help me, brainstorm. Some songs are like drugs. They make you feel a certain way. I gotta sneeze. Do you like that? Fuck, man. Can you imagine all these YouTube streamers that are so fucking lonely? I bet there's tons of YouTubers that are so lonely, like... Oh, a song. Oh my god, I added that song on there. I should take that one off. It's outplayed. That's some old shit. No, it was good though. You ever hear those songs that are like played out? They played them so much. Yeah.